Hey everybody, and welcome back. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another buff Pokemon in the new Season 13 update for Pokemon Go Battle League, Poltergist Dusknoir. Dusknoir is a Ghost-type Pokemon with the move of access of Hex, Shadow Ball, and Poltergeist. With the start of Season 13, Niantic added Poltergeist to its moveset, making it a nuke move rather than Shadow Ball, because Shadow Ball previously was its previous nuke move. But Poltergeist has more energy. You need to get more energy with Poltergeist, so it makes it a bit interesting. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and let's take a look at Poltergist Dusknoir, in action. Alright, hopping into the first match, we have Noctowl versus Obstagoon. Pretty good lead, and this is where we like to see it, as my backline doesn't like to see Obstagoon, and they swap into a Toxapex, and in comes Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus has a brilliant matchup against Toxapex, which is really good. Toxapex goes for a Brian. We can just easily tank that, no problem, and we can just easily go for a Dark Pulse, which is really good. Going for a Shadow Ball. This will probably get a shield, or this will do a lot of damage, which it does. Gets a shield, and we can basically go for one more. We have to shield the second Brian, as it will pretty much put it into our low, and they can just easily two-shield our way through this, as it is a dominant matchup for Cofagrigus, but it still gets risky in the end. Cofagrigus go for another Shadow Ball. We'll just get the shield. This will put it low, and I'm thinking I could probably Shadow Claw down, but we actually get your Dark Pulse on the CMP tie. That's really good. They're able to shield us, and what we can do, we can just easily let this go, because I know I can survive one more Brian. Brian doesn't do enough damage, as Brian is not the greatest move ever. They swap back in the Obstagoon, and they give up swap right there, and I can just easily come back in with my Noctowl. Noctowl has a pretty good matchup against Obstagoon. Even the counters are neutral, and Sky Attacks do a lot more than Night Slash or Cross Chop. Noctowl goes for a Sky Attack that does over like half, 40% damage. That's really good. And we go for one more Sky Attack, but I actually do one more Wing Attack just in case if I want to do more damage. They go for an Obstruct. That's perfectly fine. Good thing I did not shield that. And we're going for a Sky Attack, but the Sky Attack will not be enough to kill because they just go for an Obstruct. And I'll let them do a bit more damage to me so they can get minimal farm on it. But they come back with a Toxapex. They try to catch, and here comes Dusknoir. Dusknoir able to farm down the Toxapex. Can we get to a Poltergeist? But the opponent sees the writing on the wall, which is pretty lame, because I wanted to a Poltergeist right there. Alright, hopping into the next match up against Jazz H2O Protector, a fellow good battler and a good friend of mine. They're able to bring in the Auroras as their lead and a very safe swap into a Cofagrigus, but they actually bring in a Galarian Moltres, which hardballs Cofagrigus in all of its moves since of its Dark Flying typing. Going for a Dark Pulse, I made a mistake on not going for Shadow Ball because I think Dark Pulse is more. Which it kind of, Shadow Ball and Dark Pulse may do similar damage, but I'm not sure though. I just basically get the random moves because Moltres is not the tankiest. Moltres goes for a Brave Bird, that's perfectly fine, and we go and Noctowl and we try to farm down, but they get to another move, and my saying that this cannot be another Brave Bird, it is another Ancient Power, that's perfectly fine, and we go, and the Moltres goes down, and they bring in Auroras, and he did a perfect play at throwing it because he was scared for a potential Shadow Ball. Auroras goes for a Meteor Beam, that takes us out, and we bring in our Dusknoir, and Dusknoir should sweep the back end with energy and shield advantage. We go for a Shadow Ball, thinking we might get a shield because I can't really go for Poltergeist, otherwise they'll just outpace me into a move. Shadow Ball lands, and that nearly takes out the Auroras, and it's an XL Shadow Dusclops, which also got access to a Poltergeist. Video will be coming out later in the week of that. Dusknoir going for a Poltergeist, and they shielded it, and there's really no point of shielding this because I know they have back-to-back moves. And GG's to Jazz H2O Protector for beating me right there. So GG's buddy. Alright, on to the next match. We have Noctowl versus Beedrill. Amazingly right there. And they say swap into the Pelipper. That's really good. Noctowl with the Wing Attack buff makes it even more dominant in the Relay Remix Cup. Noctowl goes for a Sky Attack. That does a lot of damage. That's perfectly fine, as we can basically let this go. Or we can shield a potential Hurricane, but it is just a Weather Ball bait. That's perfectly fine, and we can just let this go, or shield again, or farm down. I was thinking it might be another potential Hurricane. That's perfectly fine, and we can just easily farm down. Farming down the Pelipper gives us more energy, and they bring in a Gallade, So the opponent's whole team loses to one Noctowl. But this isn't a Noctowl feature. We want Dusknoir to be featured in this battle as well. We can just throw one more Sky Attack to get both shields down, and we can easily just come in Dusknoir, farming up a bit more, and then swapping into Dusknoir. But they catch onto their Beedrill. That's perfectly fine. We can just easily bring in Dusknoir in and try to farm down, and we're able to farm down. And can we get to another? Can we get to a Shadow Ball in time? No, but their force throw right here, 2 Leaf Blades will be enough to kill, as they're at another one as we sneak the Hex in. This Leaf Blade will be enough to take us out, and we can just easily bring in our Coppergrigus and Shadow Claw down, as there is nothing the opponent can do, and that is basically a good game. So GG's to my opponent right there. Alright, hopping into the next match, we have Noctowl versus Dewgong. Really horrible lead matches. We get Say Swap into the Coppergrigus and get an energy lead on it. Go for a Shadow Ball, and I didn't throw the Shadow Ball right away because my counts were off, but that's perfectly fine. They get off an Icy Wind, which will lower our attack stat. That's perfectly fine. And then they bring in their Empoleon. Shadow Ball will do a ton of damage, or this will probably get a shield, which it does. I can probably do one or two more Shadow Claws, 3 more, and we can go for another Shadow Ball. Thinking I hope they shield us, so I want Dusknoir to basically sweep their back end. As I said before, Dusknoir with energy and shield advantage can absolutely go to town with the opponent's shields being down. Empoleon goes for a Hydro Cannon. Can I farm down in time? But they get to another Hydro Cannon. Well, this is pretty much looking bad for us, as we do have to shield this. That's perfectly fine, and they throw a Poltergeist, thinking they might let this go because they can't survive Poltergeist because Dewgong is really bulky. They shield that, which I'm basically in trouble. Basically, Dusknoir is very glassy. Can't really take a move really that well, and we can just switch. And they bring in a Jellicent right here. They just give a win con right there. Dusknoir lands the Poltergeist. That does a lot of damage, and in comes Noctowl. We're able to farm out with the wing attacks, and all we need is back-to-back Sky Attacks right there. Throwing on good timing, going for a Sky Attack right here. Noctowl is proving that it's strong in the Great League Remix Cup. Landing the Sky Attack, going for another one. We can easily just survive an Icy Wind. Can we get to a Sky Attack in time? Yes, we can. Even after the debuff, this will easily kill the Dewgong, and that is basically a good game. So GG's to my opponent right there, our very close game. So we just came back from a very hard lead loss right there. Alright, hopping into the next match for Noctowl versus Dragonite. Pretty decent lead, as Noctowl has more bulk than Dragonite. We're basically outbulking them in this matchup right here, since we can take Dragon Claws pretty well, and they cannot take Sky Attacks really well. They have to shield just because of that reason. I'm thinking that we can just easily shield this and get to another Sky Attack in time. A Sky Attack will do a lot of damage as they're after the wing attacks, as they're basically in Sky Attack range now. Can we get our shield? Yes, we can. We can just overfarm a bit more and then basically get to another Sky Attack. Can we? No, we cannot. Dusknoir comes in because this is a Dusknoir feature. So why not just farm it down with Dusknoir, which is really good. We basically have to shield this right here. I'm thinking we could probably farm down if they decide not to switch out, which they do, and in come to Jump Off right there. Jump Off can get to a move. We're able to get to the Poltergeist in time. This will basically do a lot of damage. Will this land? And it does. It does a lot of damage right there. Poltergeist is an extremely new high energy cost, high risk, high reward move. And we can just easily farm it down with the Coppergrigus. Coppergrigus able to farm the Jump Off, and let's see what's in the back. Let's see, we have a Mawile back, and that's perfectly fine. And I can do a few more Shadow Claws and basically putting it into Shadow Ball range. Well, this Shadow Ball will easily be enough to take out the Shadow Mawile, and we can just Shadow down the Shadow Dragonite, and that is a good game. So GG's to my opponent right there. Alright, hopping into the next match, we have Noctowl versus Machamp. Pretty good lead, because this is a pretty good lead, as they're running Bullet Punch right there. If it was countered, this would have been unfamiliar, because Noctowl versus Machamp isn't all that comfortable, from my experience right there. So we easily get a shield, applying a lot of shield pressure on the opponent's side. We can just easily let this go. It is a Rock Slide, so a huge misplay on my part, and we switch in Dusknoir. Those Bullet Punches are doing a lot of damage, as we can just basically shield this and shield the rock slide and potentially farm down. Machamp goes for a rock slide. We can just easily shield that up, and in comes Shadow Dragonite, and we can go for a Shadow Ball, and we probably can get to 2 Shadow Balls depending if they want to farm down or not. Can they farm down? But they actually throw on our Shadow Ball, which forces a CMP tie. That's perfectly fine. We can just easily shield up a Dragon Claw right there, as we can go for a Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball will basically take out the Dragonite, as it is very, very glassy. And in comes Shadow Machamp. We can just easily bring in the Coffee Greeks and farm down. Yes, we can. And let's see what's in the back. It's a Seismon Toad with Bubble. That's perfectly fine. Two Shadow Balls will easily be enough to kill this thing. But this Shadow Ball won't be enough. So what we do is we do a few more Shadow Claws. We actually take the move which is going to be an Earth Power. Earth Power will do decent chip damage. What we can do is come in Noctowl and Simol, as we do have Copper left in the back. So that will be a win for us and a GG's to my opponent. So GG's. Alright, hopping into the next match, leading into another Shadow Machamp lead. That's perfectly fine, as they basically say swap into their Shadow Snorlax. This is perfectly fine, as I have 2 Ghost types to counter the Machamp. And I can just easily stay in here to counter the Noctowl, as my backline doesn't want to see Shadow Snorlax. So both trade-offs right there, basically. Snorlax goes for a body slam. This will basically do a ton of damage. We can just overwhelm a bit more, but they get to another body slam. That's perfectly fine. Snorlax gets to another body slam, and can we farm down? But they actually get to another move right there, so we basically have to shield. I cannot let the energy go to waste, and they throw another body slam, and we can just easy farm down. I'm hoping the Machamp comes back in so I can do back-to-back Sky Attacks. I'll look closely on the type of right. It's an Aurorus in the back, so it's a really good thing I looked before doing 2 Sky Attacks, and we're able to throw a Shadow Ball, and we can just easily say swap into the Coffee Gregas right there. I screenshot it for a reason, I'm not sure there, but Coffee Gregas can easily tank one move. It is a Meteor Beam, which Aurorus did get access to a Meteor Beam in this update, by the way. We might feature that, who knows. Coffee Gregas goes for a Dark Pulse. We can just easily get a shield for now. Can we reach another move? Coffee Gregas goes down with one turn behind the move. And can we come in with Dusknoir? Yes, we can. And can we farm down in time? Let's see. Dusknoir able to no shield the Weather Ball. That's perfectly fine. And it is a Machamp in the back. That's perfectly fine. We go for a Shadow Ball. And can Dusknoir sweep? Yes, it can. They let go of the Shadow Ball, and we can just easily hex down the Aurorus, and that is a good game. So all in all, Poltergist Dusknoir in the Beer League Remix Cup. Personally, I enjoy using this mod. Hex is a decent fast move, but overall, Dusknoir is very, very glassy, and with shield advantage and energy advantage, this thing can absolutely go to town. Will I recommend this Spice? Absolutely. But while climbing elo, absolutely not. This thing is way too frail, and you definitely need shields and shield advantage to close endgame. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And until next time, I will see you guys all again tomorrow.